Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Charles Bryant. It has been a while, a long while, 2 months since I've made a video. That's crazy. But you know, this pandemic just has thrown a huge kink in my whole life, along with a lot of other things, tragedies that have happened since that time, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I honestly didn't know if I was coming back to YouTube, but I just love doing these videos. It's just something, it's a passion of mine. I love teaching people and knowing that I'm helping somebody out there. So the last video I talked about was how to take your images, your raw images, and create a time-lapse film or a time-lapse video in After Effects. Now I want to show you how to take your camera and actually create the time-lapse. I know, that's a little backwards, but oh well, it's YouTube, right? So if you have a DSLR, get it. Go get it now, get some pen and paper, take some notes. So, you do not have to have a Canon 6D Mark II. Obviously, you can use whatever DSLR camera you have. Just make sure that you have your instruction manual so you'll know where your time-lapse settings are in your camera. And if you don't have that, if your camera's a little bit older, don't sweat it. You can still use a device called an intervalometer. That's a tool that you can plug into the side of the camera here, and it is basically a measuring device. It accurately measures time. So you can set it to take photos at a certain interval of time accurately. And that's basically what your camera will do internally if it's got an internal intervalometer. And we are going to move on. Woo! I almost dropped that. I was kind of really immature there. Now, there's several ways you can take a time lapse. Now, action cameras, smartphones, and of the sort usually do what we call like a time-lapse movie, where it's all done inside, creates the movie, you have instant gratification, you're happy, and you can post it on all your social media, and it looks great. And some of them are really, really good. However, I want to show you how to make one that's super high quality. So before we get started, let's go over some of the tools that you're going to need. First off, you will need the DSLR. Second, and this is the most important, a tripod. Don't try to manhandle it and hold it and try to look cool and say, oh, I can hold it steady. No, you can't, and it's gonna show. If you don't have a tripod, it's okay, no big shakes, right? Go find a tree stump, go find a fence post, a rock, a bench, somewhere you can set your camera down and leave it. Find a good composition of something to shoot, something that's got movement going on, like a cityscape, moving traffic, people walking. So once you've got those in place, then you're gonna really need to assess, is it broad daylight you're shooting this time lapse, or is it nighttime? If you're shooting in broad daylight, you're gonna wanna use one of these. This is called an ND filter, right? And basically, ND filter stands for neutral density filter. In layman's terms, it is sunglasses for your camera, right? I need sunglasses all the time. I got really sensitive eyes and I get headaches out in broad daylight. Really, what that basically does is it fools your camera into thinking that it's darker than it really is outside. So you can get slower shutter speeds and create time lapses just like this one. All right, so just to make this a little more interesting, I've got my tripod, I've got my DSLR, and the iPhone that I'm shooting this video on right now, and my ND filter. Now I'm gonna go find a street corner, some kind of an intersection, and shoot a time lapse for you and show you the difference between shooting one with an ND filter and shooting one without, using the iPhone. There's nothing wrong with the iPhone or anything like that by any means. It's just that the default camera app that the iPhone comes with, the time-lapse mode does not have any kind of an ND filter or anything like that. Though there are good companies like Moment and Polar Pro that make great lenses and ND filters for your iPhone, but today that's not the purpose. I want to show you the difference between the two and see which one you like the best. So it's probably going to be a little bit noisy when we're out there, and I doubt the audio will be very good, so I'm going to wait and hold off and not talk while I'm doing it. And when we come back to my little small home studio apartment, I will show you exactly how I set up my DSLR camera and on the iPhone. So I'll see you when we come back. And we're back. We're back from that absolutely fantastic, interesting time-lapse shoot. Actually, I'm being very sarcastic. It was extremely boring. There was no point in me filming myself because, as predicted, the road noise was hilariously loud. I couldn't even explain to you what I was doing on location in the first place. So what I want to do is just tell you what I did. I shot the time-lapse with the Canon 6D Mark II using that ND filter I explained earlier. Then I shot a time lapse using the iPhone, using their stock camera app Time-lapse feature. There is no ND filter with that, so I just kind of wanted to show you the difference between the two. I already came back and put it together, and now I want to show you the results right now. Okay, so this is my camera. This is a Canon 6D Mark II. If you've got one of these cameras, you're in luck because I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up. If your camera or DSLR is different, I urge you to research your instruction manual so that you can figure out how to set up your camera for time-lapse. It may or may not have an intervalometer. Lucky enough, for the Canon 6D Mark II, it's got a time-lapse movie mode right here, and then an intervalometer mode in the photo mode. So make sure you don't make that mistake when you're trying to shoot, because it can get very frustrating. So first thing I did was I put on my variable ND filter, which is nice to have because it saves me a lot of time. Then obviously turn that on, not for being redundant. And then I made sure I was in manual mode because I want to be in complete control of the camera. Then I composed my shot, okay? Once I composed my shot, I took autofocus and put it on manual focus. That way, whatever is going past or in front of the camera lens, the camera's not trying to focus on, which would ruin the entire time lapse. Next thing I did was I turned off stabilizer, okay? Turned it off. We don't need it. We're on the tripod, so don't have to worry about that. Then I made sure I was in photo mode. Now I'm going to show you what would happen if you're in video mode. Obviously the video comes up, you hit menu, and then you would obviously scroll over until you see something with time lapse. And there it is, time lapse movie. Where's the intervalometer? Well, it's not on there. This is the time-lapse movie. This is when it will shoot a time-lapse and convert it into a movie all within the camera, which is great. And it's great if you're in a crunch and you need something quick and instant gratification. But this is not what I'm trying to show you how to do because you don't really get to play around with it in post-production as well as you would doing the still images, because the still images are raw, like shooting a raw photograph. So I would switch back over into camera mode and then hit menu again. And then as you can see, I'm in the interval timer. So I would need to enable that. Enable, go back into it, hit the info button, and then you've got hours, minutes, and seconds. That is your interval of when your camera's going to take a photograph. I've got mine set to 3 seconds, and then I had it set to an unlimited number of shots. And the reason is because I wanted to get at least 300 shots. I've just done it so long that I know that 300 gives me roughly about a 10-second time lapse. So once I'm okay with all of that, I hit OK. I'm ready to go. Click off of this, and then you go ahead and start taking your photographs. It will start taking the pictures. If you can see right here, I'm going to hit the light button there. There you go. So it's doing it about every 2 seconds, and it will continue either until the card is full, the battery runs out, or you stop it, just like that. And that's all there is to it. That's the hard part. Now for the iPhone, obviously all you had to do is hit this button right here and then swipe over until you see where it says time lapse. The problem I've got with that is that when you click time lapse, you have no adjustments for an intervalometer. You don't know if it's a 3-second delay, like if it's taking a photograph every 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, however. You have none of that, and you don't know how long your time lapse is. It could be 15 seconds, it could be 33 seconds. So that's the only gripe that I've got with that. I wish there was more options with their time-lapse feature. But there is another app that I like to use called Filmic Pro, and I am not sponsored by them whatsoever. I just thought I'd share this with you. It might help you out in the long run. But once you're in Filmic Pro, it will give you all the details for your time-lapse that helps you take a better one. So you click on the gearbox, click on the frame rate, and then you've got time-lapse and standard video this way, and then time-lapse this way. These numbers across here are basically your intervals. It'll tell you it's going to take a photograph every 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, so on and so forth. And then you can actually adjust your frame rate. You wanted to play back at 60 frames or 30 frames. So once you're done with that, you're ready to go. Click the play button or the record button. So once you start doing that, it's going to start counting up. And once this hits 30, if you can see it, the next thing it's going to do is put a 1 there, and then a 2, and a 3. And that's telling you how many seconds of your time lapse you've got. That's wonderful. So I can get right on the money if I want to shoot a 30-second time lapse, or if I want to shoot an 8-second time lapse. I know exactly how long to record for, which is fantastic. So now that that's all done, you've used your fantastic ND filter, your fantastic camera, you've put it on a tripod, you've taken the most miraculous shot ever. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to take your memory card out of your camera, and then you're going to put it in your computer, and you're going to go down to the description box in this video and click the link to watch the next video where I teach you how to take those images and throw them into After Effects. Well, now that you've seen the process of setting up your camera for time-lapse shooting, go out and enjoy it, and tag me in some of them on Instagram at I'm Charles Bryant. I'd love to see some of your work. So that kind of concludes everything, really. Hit that like button if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell so you'll know when I post again. And I'm so sorry for taking 2 months to post. I'll see you in the next video.